Brendan Fearon of Liverpool is a Bachelor of Arts from Manchester University. For 3 years, this British immigrant has earned his living driving a horse-drawn carriage around New York's Central Park. You see, I would have assumed that the only people who go with you are people who are courting or want to be alone or want to have a romantic moment. You get other people as well?
You get a vast spectrum. During the day, it tends to be a lot more family. You have families of tourists, mom, dad, the 3 kids, we're doing, then you get what I call the gaggles of women from Connecticut who pile off the buses, and they come in their 4s, and they have to do their various things that are on the itinerary. Then you have, of course, the couples, then you have your drunks, then you have your single people. You have both single men and single women.
Single men?
Single men.
You get a little romance yourself, do you?
I certainly do.
Truly?
Yeah.
The Department of Consumer Affairs licenses the 68 carriages that are driven around Central Park day and night by some 200 men and women. And, like cabs everywhere in the world, they're extremely profitable. License medallions change hands at $40,000. Now, you're a graduate?
I'm a graduate, yes.
From?
Manchester University in 1979. And I got a Bachelor of Arts in American Studies.
Did you? You knew you were coming, did you?
I've always felt, it's sometimes when people ask me directly, what made you come to New York, it's something like when I got a postcard when I was 8 or 10. It's almost like that. It feels like it was something early, that it wasn't a plan. I just ended up being here,
Now, do you think you're using your years of study well?
I think I'm using my years of study. I think I really am. I think my study of the way the actual institution of the United States as such runs, the way the whole party works, I feel that I have a greater knowledge of the framework than most Americans. I find Americans generally pretty ignorant of their country.
Do you think Manchester University would regard you as a successful graduate?
An interesting question. I guess so. In a lot of ways, I don't know, I think they would. They'd say, well, the guy's doing something, he's not pushing pens in DHSS,
So how many years ago did you arrive?
4.
And did you go straight into this, or did you have to work up to it?
Yeah, I had to work up to it. I spent a lot of time with the money I already had, It's a party. It's a city where you're like, oh, hey, everything's new. It was novel. It was somewhere different. It is so different. But then after a while, you realize that you can't go on living on fresh air forever.
Except as a matter of fact, you get more fresh air than about 99% of the people in this city.
I certainly do. That's the main attraction of the job, is working within the park.
See, Central Park, to me, has some of the best and the worst of Manhattan, doesn't it?
Well, that's the way it works. Yeah, and that's why it works as it's a people's park. That was the phrase that the architect used, Olmsted, in the 1860s, just after the Civil War, when he set out the park. He wanted to create a people's park. I think the Latin is rore and urbe, countryside within the city. And the park was designed in such a way at that time that you could not see any of the buildings outside the park. So you had to imagine coming into this was like coming into, fairyland for most of New Yorkers.
I mean, what about at night? You operate at night, and this is a dangerous place at night. Have you ever had any trouble?
I've taken 4,000 rides through the park.
Yeah.
And I've had 1 incident.
Oh, so you've got cash. They know that you scalp all these tourists.
But I also have a whip and a fast animal.
A fast
Well, if I put this on here,
you could make your escape.
He'll leapfrog the taxi cab, I can assure you.
Well, I mean, the horse knows the way home better than you do, really, and knows the way around the park. He doesn't need you, does he?
Well, if the horse could make change, I'd be out of a job.
Because you're always overtaken by joggers, aren't you? In fact, you're overtaken by people who are walking.
Yeah, joggers and joggettes.
Can you see yourself doing this for the rest of your life? When your bowler hat turns grey?
No, I'm afraid not. I'll give it a year.
Another year? So you'll have had 5 years on the trot?
No, 4. Four's always a nice round number to finish on.
So can you see yourself going back to Liverpool?
No, I don't think so. Much as I love the city and where I grew up, Northwest England isn't the place. America's the place.
And today, this magnificent park's the place of an extraordinary enterprise, stimulated by an unassuming chap who's also from Northwest England, who at 13 had a paper round in Manchester and left school at 16. Richard Wrigley is now 38, but still seems an ingratiating teenager with tousled hair who slept in his clothes. Though with no financial background and no visible means of support, he's creating in Manhattan a $1 million brewery and this vast ice-rink complex. Now, I mean, Central Park was the start of your New York existence, right?
Right. I mean, and it was purely accidental that I was here. I was just passing through on the way back from a few days' holiday in the Bahamas. And,
Yeah.
beware.
Yeah. But I mean, how is an itinerant Englishman made responsible for a roller skating rink in New York's proudest
Right, I know,
possession?
it sounds incredible. I phoned up the commissioner of parks and basically just, I think he was desperate at the time for something to do with the rink. And I happened to have some sensible ideas. And
Which were what?
well, they had a lot of skaters all over the park, tearing around the paths and everything. And when I suggested I'd like to do a party, he thought, I'll get him to do a whole season of roller skating, and that'll get all the skaters out of the park.
Concentrate them in one place.
Right. Actually, what it did was to make roller skating even more popular and accelerated the whole sort of roller skating craze. But anyway, once I was running it, probably because I'm not a New Yorker and not used to the way they do things here, it was very well run. And it was very, very successful. So he then encouraged me to take the rink over permanently.
But I mean, why is it now being totally rebuilt like this?
Well, in essence, I ran it for a season of ice skating and doubled the attendance, doubled the financial intake, and they sort of said, would I take it on permanently? And I said, yes, but really only on the condition that it's rebuilt and we build a proper rink, you know. And so I submitted a plan for a new rink, and
This plan?
effectively this, yeah.
How much are they spending on?
It's currently costing around $12 million.
To build an ice skating rink for you?
Right.
And what, you are going to be what?
I'm the lessor, concessionaire, whatever you want to call it. What it means is that when they've completed, they hand the thing over to me, lock, stock and barrel. I pay them a form of rent, and they've, let's say, have no responsibility for the operation of the rink. I have that responsibility, plus the restaurant.
I mean, it's like an enormous outburst of private enterprise in the centre of Hyde Park, or something like that,
Right.
isn't it? Overlooking the Serpentine.
Right. Exactly. Well, it'll be
Now,
wonderful.
when you were running the ice skating rink here, anything in Central Park, which is a mugger's paradise where people get killed and raped and everything else, how did you control it?
Well, I use very simple discipline. If somebody did something I didn't like, I just went up and told them, you know.
But you're a miniature 18-year-old.
I was very polite, you see. I was polite. They're just not used to it. You see, what they're used to over here is if you have a concert or something, a heavy bouncer sort of marches up and effectively says, "Get out," you know.
Yes.
And people are so impolite when they run. I mean, concerts are terrible here. I was very polite, but I was very firm.
Of all the gangs of kids here, what's the difference between the groups?
The Puerto Ricans, for example, are very macho. The whole idea of life is that a man has to be a man and prove that he's a man. So when they would skate, instead of skating, let's say, with other people, they'd always be cutting across and against and through in and out, trying to show that they were really tough. The black kids, actually, were the nicest skaters on the rink. They were very, very family-oriented. You get lots of groups of families with little kids coming down. A lot of the white kids, unfortunately, tended to use drugs. Even quite young kids, they'd use drugs, and they were like really spoilt brats. And they required the most discipline.
There must have been an awful lot of drugs here, I suppose, in that sort of ambience.
Yes, I mean, this area of Central Park in that time was one of the main drug centres of New York. As you walked into the park, you'd pass about 20 dealers who'd offer you anything that you wanted. And the police here are only empowered to give parking tickets. They give parking tickets to drug dealers, unless there's a formal complaint made. So I started making complaints and demanding that the police take action.
Ah.
And all I did was to institute the law in a simple way. At one stage during the operation of the rink, they switched from two-man cars to single-man cars, one officer. And the deal that the police union did was that the single officer can carry a shotgun while he's in the vehicle. And so they'd wander down into the rink for their tea break with a sawn-off shotgun slung over their shoulder. And that really quite impressed the sort of the young troublemakers that, the young ones here, they do respect a gun. It's part of their culture, particularly the Puerto Rican kids who, you're not a man if you don't carry a gun. So,
I mean, could they bring a gun in here, or did you manage to stop them?
No, I mean, we were fairly aware, and sometimes would take guns off people.
But they'd just give the guns to their girlfriends, weren't they? And...
Well, their trick was to put it in the girlfriend's handbag.
Yes.
Especially if they saw the police around, the guys would give the gun to the girls. But after a while, you know who these kids are, and you can just look at them and you can tell. You just look at their eyes and you know this kid's up to something.
This kid's also up to something. Apart from that ice rink, Richard Wrigley's creating a real ale brewery down in Manhattan, Soho. In a land where freezing lager tastes the same everywhere, he'll brew unpasteurized, unfiltered real ale and has a master plan to build 100 breweries across the States. This pair of Shire horses cost £5,000 and almost as much again to fly over from England. But they'll be a fine sight pulling their dray down Broadway. They're stabled in the yard outside this great disused transformer station, which he hopes will soon become Manhattan's smart in-place for the drinking set. It'll certainly be different, for Wrigley, small and smiling, and in New York, distinctly foreign, brought workmen over from England to replace its dynamos and generators with great Bavarian copper brewing kettles. But it looks as though this isn't going to be finished for months. But you think it's going to be finished how soon?
Well, I'd say in about 2 weeks. You'll be able to come in here, sit down, have a beer, sit at the table, and it's amazing how quickly finishing can go. So at the moment it looks like a junkyard, but in reality we're very close.
And what are we looking at in money terms?
This has cost at the moment about $1.2 million. In fact, if we'd done it the conventional way, you're looking at about $2.5 million worth. But because we did it all ourselves, we're our own contractor, our own architects, designers, engineers, the lot. We've done it for about 50% of the normal price.
That's a hell of a lot of money. I mean, how do you generate that? Have you got that sort of money?
No, I don't. When we started off, I just started looking for money. I don't know how I got it, to be honest. It's just, you have the intention to do something and you go out and you get it somehow or another. And we still don't have all the money. We sort of go along day to day, week to week and juggle. And then suddenly we get some more money from somewhere. And we have a couple of banks involved. But it's all catch-22s, you see, because one bank won't lend unless the other bank lends. So you have to run backwards and forwards and say, well, this bank said they'll lend us, so now you must lend. And you play backwards and forwards, and eventually they feel confident enough to sort of give you the money.
But I mean, you've got to buy the kettles, you've got to pay the wages, you've got to, I don't know, electricity.
Well, we have, at the end of the day, I suppose, 3 bank loans. We have a degree of private money that's involved.
Well, I mean, what is a degree of private money? It's $1 million.
The actual private capital is about $400,000. That's actual hard cash, you could say. The rest is in the form of different loans that we've picked up.
I mean, there are people who like you, or people who think your track record inspires them to lend you money.
No, I just have one partner, actually. There are just 2 of us in the venture. In fact, the other day, we had CBS television down here, and he sort of said that I was a great con man. And I was completely and utterly insulted because I thought, well, a con man is really, not the way that I consider myself. I think I have good ideas and I work hard to put them together. He was actually paying me a compliment. Over here, to call you a good con man is a compliment. I was ready to hit him.
Yeah, so you would think the bankers would run for the long grass, instantly.
They like to invest in people who've got that sort of reputation. That you can pull it off, I guess is what he means. You can pull it off. So it's worth taking the gamble.
But just the day-to-day cash flow, I would have thought, is enough to drive you into the ground.
We go through, I guess, about 10,000, 12,000 a week in payroll.
But I mean, do you, as a nice London boy, no, Manchester boy.
Yeah.
Manchester boy. Do you know anything about brewing?
No, I don't, but you see, I've got experts. When I started this 3 years ago, I knew absolutely nothing. All I knew is that I like good beer, and there wasn't any in the States. So...
Absolutely not. I mean, American beer is like I'm trying to think of a polite word for it, but it's like drinking cold water, isn't it?
When some of the guys came over, they took their first American beer and they looked at it and their faces dropped and they said, Perrier. It was the most, apt description they could find for it. It was just carbonated water.
Doing business in America, I would have thought it would be an absolute nightmare. The fire regulations, the zoning regulations, the authorities, the corruption, that sort of thing. How do you do that?
My formula is called fait accompli. You work it out to the best of your ability and you do it. And nobody actually knows what the rules really are. So if you have a sensible plan and you take into account all the different factors you can think of and do it, then they have to come along and prove that what you've done is wrong. If you go and ask them and say, I would like to do this, you're presenting them with a problem, and then you've got the whole bureaucratic machinery and everything gets thrown in. But in America, if you just do it and you're fairly confident of what you're doing, you'll get away with it. Assuming you're not doing something totally idiotic.
Yes, but I mean, knocking walls down, holes, electric wires, fire hazards, ancient lights.
Well, I spent 2 years finding the building. See, I worked out the building that I could actually do it in. Spent 2 years finding that building, so I knew that once I started tearing this building apart, anybody would be hard pushed to say I couldn't do it in this particular building. I mean, to find a building that I could build stables in, because we've got stables in the yard, we've got a restaurant, we've got a wholesale manufacturing activity for alcohol.
You're going to have a restaurant, that's the thought. It isn't here
yet. It's here. Look, there it is.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You see?
Yes.
There it is.
Yes.
Optimism.
Where the elite meet. Yes.
Right, we're going to. Yeah. We'll have it on 3 levels. The upper gallery, the middle gallery and the main floor, and we'll have about 300 people. Every night, of course. Eating, drinking, singing.
What about corruption? I mean, what about chaps coming round and saying, you can't do that when all they're looking for is dropsy?
I've only ever twice. Only ever twice have I been exposed to it. And I didn't even realise it was going on to begin with. I didn't realise the ploy. An official comes along, creates a problem, and, I got angry back instead of just realising this is the ploy and he's doing it in front of people, and then you go around the corner and sort of slip the money. I didn't realise that at all. So one of my chaps went and paid the fellow off after I'd virtually threatened to demolish him in the street.
But it doesn't happen all that much.
No, I'm amazed actually, because you hear about it all the time.
Yes,
I've never been directly approached, and of course I deal with the city a lot. Just with this, the main permits and everything that's involved in doing this, we had none of that at all, which is quite amazing because people presume that you have to pay somebody off substantially.
It's marvellous to hear that the New Yorkers can be as honest
fantastic.
As you suggested they are.
Right.
I mean, it's a New York to me.
The biggest problem in New York is the reputation of New York and the fact that New Yorkers will play up to that reputation. And it's just really like a show. I find that Americans are quite hard to work with, particularly, let's say, on a job like this. We don't have many, and it's not insulting, but their education doesn't teach them to think. So you have to constantly supervise everything that's done. Whereas if you have an English crew, they tend to think things out for themselves.
What about executives? I mean, about efficiency, the efficiency of your average executive.
To me, it's just an appearance. I really don't find them very efficient. It's all a show.
It's not our idea, is it? We think of Americans as very crisp and get up and go.
No, they're not. They're terribly insecure. American executives have such a short life in any company. I mean, I think on average they're fired after 6 months or something. Your chief executive. So he's in really a hopeless position. He's got to create a change and effect a result because he's being judged so rapidly. And in doing that, he's very nervous, obviously. And it makes them difficult to deal with. To me, the whole thing about America is that it's all imagery. You look the part of an executive, you have the right suit. I mean, in England we have that, but here they've got this sharper, more casual look, and it's all first-name terms, but it isn't very real,
How do they cope with you, an 18-year-old hippie, going in the office and saying, I'm going to build a £1 million brewery?
Well, they don't really know how to deal with me. It works to my advantage. I am me.
Do they take you seriously? I mean, even I don't take it too seriously. How do they take you seriously?
I'm very persistent. After a while, they realise I'm serious. That I guess is the oddity. It's part of my formula.
Say about a track record. I mean, you made a lot of money in the skating ring, didn't you? So if you're taking home carrier bags full of cash every night, you're doing something right.
The oddity is, with the skating rink, I didn't have a bank account. I wasn't able to open a bank account when I came here. So everything that was done there had to be done with cash. And so that is a bad situation to be in America, because you're supposed to have bank loans and owe money and accounts and this and that. I didn't. And so it was very hard when I started doing this, because people wanted to know, what is your track record? And I'd say, well, go and look at Central Park, you know. They'd say, yes, but, you know, your track record is a credit card. I don't have credit cards. You know, it's a, you know, some tangible little piece of plastic.
Yes, yes.
The fact that there's a $12 million thing being built in Central Park is not what they consider track record. So, you know, and it caused me a lot of problems, because people tried to find out, who is he?
Of course.
They couldn't.
But if you don't have a credit rating, you're no one. You're,
Right.
you're an unperson, aren't
You're
you?
an unperson, yes.
So how did you conquer that? How did you become a person?
Well, basically
Perhaps
by,
you're not.
Yeah, right. Basically by working, in a sense, with the city. You see, we've borrowed money from the city for this project.
Aha.
Because we're creating jobs.
So you're into them. Then they've got to take you seriously.
Right. Yeah. And, I mean, in Central Park, I don't have any partners. I've just, you know, that's just me. But that was a...
So what do you do with the money? I mean, how do you... this is no place to wander around carrying carrier bags full of banknotes.
Well, it's true.
Where do you put it? You stuff it in the mattress?
I used to, yeah. I used to hide
Seriously?
it under the bed. I used to have about $50,000 in cash sitting under my bed always. I used to walk out of Central Park with carrier bags full of cash. One day I had a friend visiting from England. I sort of, you know, asked him, would you mind carrying this bag for me? Because I had too many bags. And we got to a restaurant, and he sort of said, oh, by the way, what was in the carrier bag? I said, oh, I don't know, $20,000. He just about fainted on the spot. But the point is, I couldn't put it in a bank, because the bank wouldn't open an account for me, because I didn't exist.
Do you have... I mean, are you insured here?
Oh, we have about $1.5 million in cover. So we can deal with most eventualities that might arise.
What's this for?
This is going to be a clam bar, which is something like
what?
a clam bar.
CLAM.
Right, it's a
Shellfish.
shellfish, rather like an oyster. It's a locally indigenous creature.
Here.
Right, here. This kettle that you can see is going to end up halfway outside the window, so that when you come down the street and you look at the building, you'll see a brewing kettle sticking out of the window as a sort of an emblem and sign.
That's just an ornament.
Sorry?
An ornament.
It's just an ornament, it's a decoration.
I see. I see.
And then the inside part of it, if we can work it out correctly, we'll have the shellfish inside the kettle, and a guy will be sort of like serving it out of the kettle. And there'll be a small bar at the end of the point. You can't see it, it's sort of tucked around the side.
When you start here, I mean, you're starting as a catering establishment more than a brewery.
What we're actually going to do is follow the development of all breweries. They all started off as brew pubs, if you like. The publican brewed beer. It was successful, so he started selling it to other pubs. So we're going to emulate that original formula.
And you're going to drink all the beer you produce on the
Initially,
premises?
we'll drink it all here. And then when we've got the beers that we think are right, then we'll have the horses trotting out and we'll start delivering just to bars in the local area. And eventually, we'll cover the whole of Manhattan.
You're a sort of enthusiastic innocent, aren't you? It
Right.
seems to me.
Right. That's I think, is exactly it.
But you're in a city of sharpies.
I think that
And con men.
Yeah, right. I'm so naive in some ways that I could walk. I mean, I could walk through the middle of Harlem. I used to walk through Central Park at night, you know, loaded with cash, and you know, nobody would touch me. For some reason, the police thought I had a guardian angel, but it was just that I was so innocent that it just didn't occur to me that anybody would ever try to do anything. I mean,
Did they ever?
Well, the only time I ever had a slight encounter, I came out of the back of the ring with cash in my pocket, and it was wet and dark, and a large black gentleman approached me and said, "You got any money?" And well, I thought, well, I'm not going to give him, you know, a few $1,000s, so I said no. And he cursed, you know, he said, "You motherfucking white pig." And I was so shocked, I said, "Are you talking to me specifically or the white race in general?" And he was like, "What?" And we sort of engaged in this conversation, and I walked out of the park with him walking along beside me. And
discussing semantics.
he was like cursing, but in actual fact, he'd completely forgotten that he wanted money. And sort of a couple of 100 yards up, a police car cruised by, and he was gone, like a shadow, you know, he was back in the bushes.
Now, you're riding high at the moment, but in New York, you can be a celebrity one day and cheating on the subway the next.
Yes. I haven't gone about things the normal New York way.
Which is the normal way?
Well, mostly it's just a big show. I mean, people open a club and they really intend to skim everything they can get off it in the first few months. You know, cheat on their taxes, just grab the cash and run. And really what I've done is to build very real things. The skating rink has been there for 25 years, it'll be there for another 25 years. The brewery is intended to last for the next 50 years, 100 years, who knows, it's an old thing. And everything is genuine here. It isn't as though we've got pictures of copper kettles. We have copper kettles. You know, the horses really are going to work. So
yes.
I haven't...
It's not a cardboard cutout,
No,
is it?
right. I haven't gone out seeking publicity, but we're getting it. So I think that what we're doing is actually creating a real business. So we will endure. I hope we endure.
I think once you get it going, I suppose it's a negotiable asset. You can sell it to Budweiser and go back to old court.
I mean, if it works, in a year's time, I could turn it public and walk away with about $10 million.
Could you?
Yeah. I've had offers already.
Really?
Before we've even... I mean, I've had offers to franchise it before we've even started. It's an incredible...
Aren't you tempted?
No. You see, that isn't the point of the idea. The point is that this is a nice thing to do. And to sort of turn around and see some big corporation doing exact copies just wouldn't be the point. If I did another one in Boston, it would be completely different. And it would be an indigenous brewery to Boston, not a franchised idea.
But if you've been living out of a suitcase and borrowing clothes and that sort of thing, living in a penthouse over a brewery is going to be unaccustomed luxury, isn't it?
I know one thing, I'm going to be a target. In New York, women in particular are very, very... they're very keen on people that have a name, publicity, money, and all the trappings. And there really are very few genuine relationships here. So you become a target already. I sort of have noticed that sort of when we started doing this building, let's say I had a normal appeal. But now that I've been on the news a few times, when I talk to a girl, it's like, zumph, she's ready, you know, tune in.
That can't be bad.
Well, it's disconcerting in a way because you just don't, you know, it's nice to talk to somebody genuinely, not to feel that the only reason that person's talking to you is because you happen to have something that they want.
Which is a brewery.
Well, a brewery or, it doesn't matter, money, you know, whatever it is.
I mean, you're a moving target at the moment, but you're an available male in New York, where there's a great shortage of non-gay marriageable men.
I know, it is a problem also because I'm setting up two businesses which are rather large, and under the American laws, divorce proceedings get very nasty. So I could fall in love with a girl, lose my head, marry her, and a year later be in court and lose half of what I've spent years putting together.
She's got half a brewery.
Right, it's a very precarious situation. I know of a chap here, he's a playwright, and his wife suing him for divorce. She wants 50% of everything he's got. She wants 50% of the future earnings of the plays he wrote while they were married, and she wants 50% of the earnings of all future plays that he might write. A lawyer gets involved, and he's taking 30% of whatever he can get for the wife.
Well, it's not ambulance chasing. It's unhappy wife chasing.
Right. It makes life very, very difficult. One of the hardest things I've found working here is the legal profession, because you have an impression from England that a solicitor, you know, is somebody who's got a certain honour, a profession. You know, you can trust them rather like a doctor. It's hard to realise that over here they don't represent you; they represent themselves. They are in business strictly for themselves. And so there is no such thing as trust or confidence with a lawyer. So you could have a simple disagreement with your wife that got sticky, a lawyer gets involved, and the next thing you know, it's a knockdown battle, and she's not talking to you. It's strictly what the lawyer can make for himself.
Must be something good to be said about the relationship between the sexes here, but it's hard to think what it is.
Oh, it's very physical. It's physical exercise.
Sex.
Right. You have to, I mean, to be fit here, you've got to jog, eat health food, see an analyst, make love regularly and energetically. It's, you know, that's the sort of the approach to life. And it's funny because when you meet a girl, when you meet a girl here, I mean, there is no delicate sort of moment of you know, going out for dinners and sort of romance. It's
Courting.
like, no, that
courtship.
doesn't exist. It's like, okay, is it my place or your place? Bang. And often that question isn't even asked, it's just taken for granted.
Is that because of the girl or is it because of you?
No, I mean, that is the way it is, you know, for people over here. There is sensitivity in relationships doesn't exist. There's one of the chaps working on the site here who, an American girl has taken a great fancy to him. They went out of the bar one night and she just got in the cab. You know, there was no discussion, she just got in the cab. And they got back to the apartment, she just got in the bed. And, you know, it's quite bizarre. And then after a while, he decided this really wasn't what he wanted, you know. And, he said, look, stop following me, you know. Like she'd arrive at the job or she'd go to bars. So she came back and said, look, I don't want to talk to you. I won't come to the job. I don't want to sit in the bar with you. I just want sex with you. You know, that's it. And it's like, oh. You know, you're used to...
Was he reconciled to that, or...?
I don't know, he's...
Did he want something else? Or did he say he had a headache?
You know, it's like, what's wrong with you? You want feelings?
Yes.
It's rather like making love to a human vibrator here sometimes. I don't know if the BBC is interested in this kind of thing.
Well, I think it's a little bit outside the BBC's normal experience, to be honest. And this is what?
This is the penthouse. Welcome to my penthouse.
Nice.
As you can see, it reflects my style of living. But it has certain unique features. We have the Empire State Building through this window. And when the windows are finished over here, then we've got a direct view of the World Trade Center, slightly obscured by our windows. And here are my worldly possessions. Slightly disheveled and disorganized, but then I haven't really had much time to do anything with them.
You're a good packer, I'll say that for you.
Right, well, these are my filing cabinets. My sort of administration's there, and my clothes are there. And this is my tent. So I'm going to be shortly erecting that and camping in the building.
It says it sleeps 6.
Well, I know,
You've got
that's...
5 friends. But those are the rest of your possessions.
Well, no, those belong to a lady friend of mine who decided to make an attempt at moving in. But she realized it wasn't really the most suitable accommodation currently. And out here is the South Terrace.
See, sometimes New York is so exciting and so stimulating. Other times one walks out into these steaming streets amongst all these people who want to break your neck or rub you. And I think of, was it Captain Scott who said, my God, this is a dreadful place. And what impact does it have upon you?
I think the first thing is that it's just so old, most of New York. You think of New York as being this super modern city because all you see are the big skyline.
Chromium,
right.
yes,
But in
yes.
actual fact, if you look at it, these old brick buildings that are sort of half falling down, and just the you know, I mean, you could be in Amsterdam if you just take those few buildings, or Paris or somewhere.
But I mean, this is Wall Street. This is the most important. We're in Soho now, right?
Yes.
So this is an important part of New York. And yet you don't think of, when you look at that skyline over there with these water towers, it's like, it looks like a Polynesian village. It really is extraordinary. I've never seen that. I mean, that is absolutely not New York. These little houses with little men living in it.
It's not New York to the visitor, but that is the real New York.
That's the real.
Right.
Yes. Yes. Now, can you see yourself, Richard, spending the rest of your life here?
No, I absolutely couldn't. I can see myself visiting New York regularly for the rest of my life, but there's no way that I could see myself living here. I think I'd jump off the building, or at some point I'd go and get a machine gun and run out into the street screaming.
Because?
The noise. There's no peace, there's no quiet. You can never relax here. And it isn't that you're rushing around having such a fantastic time. The city just doesn't sleep in a literal sense. You can't switch off, relax, and prepare yourself for another day. So after 3 weeks, you're mentally exhausted by the sheer fact of being here.
something about having to defend yourself always. You're either defending yourself against people who are being rude to you, or you're defending yourself against violence. Or I detect that, really. I'm never totally relaxed here.
Right, your space is continually invaded. I know once when I was in London, a friend said to me that I had a problem because I'd never gone to university, had a formal profession. I'd never been conditioned. And so I was open to a lot of things which most people aren't. And I find that in New York, that I can walk down the street and I can sense the tensions. You know, you see a group of Chinese and a group of Puerto Ricans, and it looks wonderful, the colours and the shapes and the bodies. But actually, you can sense a certain tension between these groups. It's a very, very racial city in a way that we perhaps don't understand in Europe, because we see all these different nationalities living together. But after 100 years, the Italians are still in their little quarter, the Chinese are in their quarter, the Greeks are in theirs. It's a very fragmented city, and the sort of vibrations that exist between them are not always the most wonderful.
And it's a very bad city in which to feel oneself vulnerable, isn't it? I'm thinking also in terms of personal relationships, you've got to be fairly hard.
You're on your defense all the time. And I think also partly that's why people are so busily projecting images here. You go into a bar, and when you talk to somebody, you're not really talking to them. You're talking to an Yves Saint Laurent commercial, or a Gloria Vanderbilt, or something, or a Budweiser. They really are afraid to expose themselves, and so they wear designer clothes, and they come over as television characters, not actually real people.
It's why be yourself when there are so many better characters available.
Right. You have a catalogue. Another funny thing is that very, very rarely will people invite you to their home. You see, they'd much rather take you to a restaurant, because you can program the impression you want to create by going to a restaurant. And you're not exposing yourself the way you really are. You see, so, I mean, I have friends here that I've known for 5 years. I have no idea what their apartments look like. It wouldn't occur to them to say, come home and have some tea or coffee, or, you know, we'll make a meal. You go out, and it's thought out where to go, the image, the whole thing.
This is also the relationship between the sexes, isn't it? I mean, women feel themselves vulnerable, presumably, and this is why they come on so strong, as you're suggesting.
Yeah. I found being English here is funny, because on the one hand, your accent immediately opens certain doors, and that can be an embarrassment. But on the other hand, because we are much more accustomed to talking and relating to women, that I get on with women in a way that an American man can't. In fact, American men say that it's the homosexual side of me. Because I talk to women a lot, and I have women friends, there is a strong homosexual side to me. And they can't understand that a man and a woman can just have a conversation, be friends, relate together without this sexual aspect. You see, so it's a confusing environment. I don't have many men friends here because of that fact, that I find them very difficult to talk to, because they are very strong in their images. With a woman, she at least will open up after a while, and you discover who's really there.
But the men?
It's the machismo. You know, it's the, a man. I mean, maybe it's because of the classic American idea of the strong, silent man who goes west, you know, makes his fortune, man of few words, that today very few American men actually have very much to say. Maybe that's what's wrong with Reagan. Maybe that's why he's so popular. He actually doesn't have anything to say. He's incredible.
British migrants taking on Manhattan have, it seems, plenty to say, whether driving hansoms, building breweries, or busking.
We'll accept all the money you can give us, please. $5 notes, $6 notes.
On Broadway today, even the buskers have English accents.
Okay, we'd like to do a song about working on a building site now. And it's all about the hard hat you got to wear. Everyone looking forward to this? We're called the Vulcans, and it's very nice to be back in New York again. Up dead. La 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 la. Oi! La 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 la. La 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 la. With a heart out on my head, I'm feeling safe and round this town. It's a holiday town. It's a holiday town. Keep your holiday town. It's a holiday town. Hey, hard hat town. La 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 la. Hey, la 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 la. La 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 la. Now you've got your hard hat. Now you've got your hard head. Now you've got your bald head. And now you are an egghead. La 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 la. La 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 la. It's a holiday town. It's a holiday town. Keep your holiday town. It's a holiday town. Hey, hard hat zone. If you feel as though you want to give us some money, fill that guitar case up.
At 4 a.m., when even the buskers are in bed, a solemn young Englishman leaves his shared apartment on 34th Street and takes the subway down to Wall Street. At this hour of the morning, he's the only white face on dark subterranean platforms. But fortunately, the muggers are all in bed too. Richard Lord is not heading for that financial centre to work in a bank or in a broker's office, but in a fish market. Indeed, his life is totally devoted to fish. A grave and earnest 26, Richard handles public relations for New York's Billingsgate, the Fulton Fish Market on the East River, which comes to life at 3 a.m. every day. His first dawn duty among the wet blood and guts is a 90-minute lecture tour, his English delivery penetrating the mainly Italian hubbub.
This is swordfish. This is one of the larger fish that comes into the market. When we don't have enough on the East Coast, it's flown in from the West Coast. Swordfish are found in all warm waters. These come from Florida. During the summer, they migrate north and they're found off Long Island. The principal method of harvest is either harpooning or long lining. Harpooning is probably accounts for about 5% of the swordfish caught. The rest is caught on long lines. Long lines can be 20 miles of line laid down with buoys or buoys. This is the tilefish. It's a deep water fish that's indigenous to the east coast of North America, and it's found all the way from Florida up to Nova Scotia, but the principal state of landing is New Jersey. These fish feed on crabs. They're found on the outer edge of the continental shelf. There are two species of tilefish, a grey tilefish and that tilefish. It derives its name from the mottling, from the colour. Here's a buyer's truck we're coming up to. This fish and the Jack Crevalle, which I just showed you, has a red musculature, and it also has pin bones, but they're very easy to take out. There's a huge potential resource in Florida for this fish. Right now, the US harvests 1,000 metric tons, but it's estimated there's at least 50,000 metric tons available for harvest on an annual basis. It's a very nice fish. You should take one home. Okay, we'll move on a little. This is another type of red snapper. This is a well, it's not a red snapper, it's called a vermilion snapper. This is also known as a beeliner in the market. It has a more rounded head than other types of snapper, and it sells for a little less. These fish are hermaphrodites. When they grow large, they become male. When they're small, they're female. When they're in spawning, the male develops a characteristic hump on the head right here.
Where you going, Joe?
This is a porgy here. This is a member of the sea bream family. In Europe, these are cultivated in Italy, in the Po Valley. They're also cultivated in Japan as well. This is popular in Greek cuisine. They cook it whole, they're deep fried. But anyway, the reason this fish has such a good set of dentures is because it eats shellfish, mussels and clams, so it needs strong teeth to break open the shells. This is a sheep's head porgy.
Now, this market is, in fact, totally controlled by the mafia, is it not?
I don't believe so any longer, and certainly a number of years ago there was a sting operation down here. The FBI came down, and I only know about it from what I read in the newspapers, and that was that one of the bosses was put in prison, and he's in prison for 12 years.
But I thought the mafia exacted a toll on every pound of fish that...
Well, that's true, but then again, they're in the sanitation department. Well, not the department, but they're in the sanitation business. They're in food business, vegetables. They're not just in the fish business. They're in many, many businesses.
Everything.
Yes, they really are.
And I mean, every pound
They're
of
part
fish that's
society.
sold here, they get $1.50 or something.
Well, I don't know if that's actually the mafia. I believe that's maybe just organizations.
You seem to be a round peg in a nice round fishy hole, really, because you studied fisheries. I mean, that's not a very marketable...
No, you're right. I would
knowledge,
really
is
should
it?
be in Alaska or California or some major state where they harvest a lot of seafood.
Yes.
And I'm very lucky to have found this job. In New York, it's probably the only area of fisheries in this particular place.
You're sharing a bathroom, I was told, with a pet eel.
That's right, yeah, Rupert. Actually, he passed away last night. I had a
terrible
very
news.
traumatic experience. He had migratory urges and he wanted to get to the Sargasso Sea. I caught him a year ago, pretty much this week, and it seems that he was caught on his way to the Sargasso Sea, and I found him on the floor of Fulton Fish Market, and I took him home and took care of him for a year. And now he's no longer. He wanted to get back to Sargasso Sea, tried to leave the aquarium that I kept him in all this time, and during the night he just lay on the floor and passed away.
It's too sad. I mean, he was heading for the Sargasso
That's
Sea.
right.
Down Bleecker Street and through Greenwich Village.
That's right. He would have had to swim overland quite a way. And of course, as you know, eels have a great tolerance for staying alive out of water, and he could have made a couple of 100 yards had he not confronted the stairs to my apartment.
You should have thought of this, actually.
Yes.
I mean, you're an
I put a
expert.
lid on the aquarium, and I thought that would be enough to prevent him from escaping, but he was very determined, and he forced the lid off.
I must say your interest doesn't often stray from
No, I'm
fish,
very
does it?
narrow-minded, unfortunately. Yeah, I do. I sometimes, my enthusiasm wanes, but then it only takes a few days down at the fish market to regain that enthusiasm, to see the variety of fish delivered from all over the world, to see the type of characters that come down and buy here.
See, I suspect a lot of young chaps in your position with a certain income and no responsibilities would probably lie around, taking it easy, getting onto drugs and that sort of thing. Are you in a druggy
No,
world?
not at all, no. I shun drugs and alcohol just because I don't particularly like them, but and I, for some reason, have this bizarre motivation towards seafood and fish and the marine environment, and I have all my life, as early as I can remember, always fishing on the rocks, always going out in boats, always talking to the fishermen. I just love that, and I think I'll continue to love it.
Now, what are these the porters make of you and the people who work here? Because they're
very
pretty tough cookies.
They are
aren't they?
tough, yeah. In fact, there was a nasty murder here last night, which someone was stealing some fish, he was shot to death. That does happen once in a while. Unfortunately, the person who stole the fish tried to stab someone in the process, and he went over to his car to try and get a handgun, and he was shot in the process of trying to shoot back.
It's still a Marlon Brando on the waterfront down here, isn't it?
Yes, it still is, and unfortunately, we don't think it's going to remain much longer, but there's tremendous character in this market. That's one of the attractions. It's something that's unique not only to New York, but to the world. It's only very beautiful here early in the morning. That's one of the pleasures of working down the Fulton Fish Market. You see the sunrise over the Brooklyn Bridge. Very spectacular.
A few blocks away, back in Soho, the first group of celebrants may yet see the sunrise over a brewery, for they've been invited to taste Manhattan Light Amber, the first real ale dispensed at Richard Wrigley's transformed power station, now burnished and online.
Voila.
This is what?
This is the light amber. It's the style that we're probably going to sell here in the greatest quantities.
Let me wish you good luck. This is coming along exactly as you planned, is it, this place?
Just a little. behind schedule. But in general, it's working out exactly as we planned, yeah. I've even got my jacket on tonight.
And a shirt.
And a shirt, I went out and bought it, especially for the occasion.
And what about the penthouse?
It's still rags to riches.
Still
in the rags.
In a suitcase.
Still in the suitcase.
And next week in Whicker's World, some other English who are successful here. The Nashville songwriters who taught the world to sing, the couple from Ealing who've employed murderers, the Scottish editor who believes in sex-mad monsters, and the English woman in the Palm Beach jewellers who can't afford to die.